Hello and welcome to Hobby Vlog number 214. Thank you very much for watching. We're going to jump straight into the little Reaper vote challenge thing that I'm running. First of all, the one that won last week was the bar. You bunch of alcoholics voting. There we are. So I'll get that painted up this week, and I did manage to get the barkeeper, which is pretty cool, painted up this week and finished, so that was good. So I've achieved that. Now what I'm going to do now is pop on the screen the options for this week, and don't forget, if you're leaving me a comment, any comment at all, just pick one of these and pop that into your comment, because then you'll get entered into the little draw that I'm going to run probably maybe even once a month. I haven't decided that fully yet, so every vote is going to be an entry into my little draw. The options are also in the description of this video, so if you haven't managed to catch that, you can just go to the description and copy and paste one of those options and pop it into your comment. That would be ideal. I've had 8 votes every week so far. This is now week 3, I think it is, that I've been running a vote. Yeah, this is the 3rd week of running a vote, and I've had 8 votes on all the other ones. So yeah, let's see if we can get to double figures this week. That would be absolutely awesome. So having been said, really hope that you enjoy this video. I've been a bit busy this week on other things, and I often say I don't think I've done as much in terms of creating content for this vlog as I normally do, but I'm pretty sure that's actually the case this week. But we'll find out. I'll find out with you as I edit it. But I really hope you enjoy the video, and thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again at the end. On the first voted for miniature for this year is the Townsfolk Innkeeper, which is this awesome Dark Heaven Bones from Reaper. And as you can see, still in its packet. So let's get it out of the packet and have a look at it. Well, there we are. So he's a dude, quite a large bald dude. No, he's not bald, he's got some hair. Washing up or drying up a pot that he's got. And yeah, that's going to be fun to paint. Nice and simple, but you should be able to get some really good results on this with a bit of care. It also comes on a big enough base. I might stick that onto another base, but I'm not going to worry about it for now. These ones are not combatants, so they don't need to be based as much as the other one. I think that I can probably get quite a good result with that base. So as per usual, I know I might not need to. I know a lot of people say you don't have to, but I'm going to give that a good scrub in hot water and then let that dry, prime it, and then I will paint it on my other channel, an average painter, and I'll show you what it looks like. I've got to get that done this week, so I'm going to get a start on it now. It is New Year's Eve, I'm not yet out to the party. So get that washed up. I'll show you what it looks like when it's all primed and ready, and then we will get to the painting stage on the other channel. Alright, so these are all primed, so now I'm going to take them down and give them a quick paint, which shouldn't take too long. But and then when I've done that, I'll be doing the assembly of these ones, which I'm painting on the sprue, and then I'll report back on how well that's going. So yeah, they didn't take too long to prime, and it has all primed nicely. I just used the Vallejo grey primer, and I apply it with a brush. It doesn't take too long. So yeah, I'm going to take these down now and get some paint on them. I'm absolutely gutted. Last week, my microphone was not plugged in correctly, and so I was not able to capture any of the fun banter and chatter that we had before or after our session, which is really annoying because it was a lot of fun. We had a short session, but it was a good session, and we progressed ourselves quite well. Unfortunately, all you'll be seeing right now is sped up video of the clips that I recorded. Since then I've been double checking that my microphone cable is correctly seated into the transmitter and haven't made that same mistake again, and hopefully after our session today, or before and after our session today, I won't make the same mistake. But we did have fun, but you'll have to wait for next week for the recap of what happened the week that you're watching now. So I scrubbed these and then I started priming them, and yeah, these are they're great. They're some of the best cacti I think you can get personally, but they just don't paint. So I've tried 2 different styles, and actually I'm going to go with the aerosol because this took me absolutely This took me absolutely ages to prime in my usual way of priming, and it is not even all that good. And yet I went down and blasted this with the with a aerosol, and it just works straight away. The paint just falls off. I scrubbed and scrubbed these, so it's the style of the plastic, I think. It's just very shiny and it does not want to take paint. But this is car primer, and it sticks to anything. So yeah, so I'm just going to give up. I don't like using aerosol primers, but yeah, in this case I'm going to have to. So I'm going to go and spray these all with aerosol primer, and then get them painted and that. So I just thought I'd share that as a little kind of like, if you're buying these, do bear that in mind. Either stick them on with the bright green that you get out of the box, or you're going to have to really fight to get primer on it unless you use something that really sticks to everything. So the theme is memories, and if people didn't know, this challenge, which runs up until the end of February, does run over, sadly, the anniversary of my father's death, which is a huge moment in my life. It was less than 2 weeks after my daughter was born, and it was a pretty horrendous period of time. So yeah, so the theme that I'm going to do is going to be very close to me. I'm going to do this as something for the model railway, which is cool. Me and my dad did a lot of hiking and walking together, lots and lots of it, and so I've planned this for a while. I actually meant to put this on. I thought about putting this on to Rosie's railway, but it didn't really work out as something I wanted to do at the time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a very small diorama, which will eventually get seated into the layout in a prominent place, probably, which will be 2 elements, maybe 2 elements, maybe 1. We'll see how it goes through the week, through the months. So the first thing, I've had these for a while, so the first thing is the Wooden Scenics camping set. So we've got a tent, we've got some kids, we've got a dad, we've got a fire, we've got some what have you. So what I might do is a bit of a campsite. But the first thing that I'm going to do is going to be very simple, but it's going to mean a lot to me. I'm going to make a hill, and this hill is not going to be completely finished because it's going to be left so that it can be bedded in to the layout. But also that will have meaning to me as well, which I might go into later, but I'm not sure. So it's going to be, I'm going to have a hunk of foam, which I will shape. I will leave some of it undone, and I will have a hunk of foam, which will have a hill and a path leading up the hill, and I'm going to have that miniature there climbing the path, and that's going to be my dad. And we did walking together, like I said, and after I grew out of it a bit, which now obviously I regret, but you know, when you're a young kid you think your dad's going to be around forever, but after I stopped wanting to do long distance hikes, he carried on his own, which just shows his character, and he did quite a few UK based long distance hikes on his own and loved that. So yeah, so that's going to be the first thing I'm going to do. So depending on how it goes, I might come back and do the campers as part of this. If not, that will just stay in my stash and will eventually appear. But this is basically my special thing that I'm going to use, and I'm going to get the foam and start carving and designing and building this, basically hiking up towards a ridge, because that's what we used to love doing. So this is going to be part of the model railway eventually, but for now, to the theme of memories, I'm making this for my dad. I had a little delivery yesterday, and among other things, some very exciting things, this arrived, which is actually pretty exciting as well. So this is a silicone pop, what's it called? We put the paint in it basically, and then you can pop it out and clean the paint easily. So let me get it out of this very crinkly single-use plastic, and we'll have a quick look at them. So here we are. Last week I received the little glass bottles that I said I was going to decant my Vallejo speed paint, whatever they call it, into, and it was recommended to me by someone, and I can't remember who it is. I'll try and look up so I can give them the correct credit. It's one of the guys on one of the Discords I'm on said, why don't you try and get these? And as you can see, you can kind of pop through. They're fidget toys as well, but they work really well for putting paint in, a little drop of paint, and then you can very easily pop it back out and put it back in the pot, or clean it out if you need to, because I hate waste, and so that's why I was looking at decanting, so that I could more easily keep the paint from going off easily, and also not use a wet palette for speed paints and things like that. and washes. So these are going to be hopefully very, very useful. So I'm going to give them a go, and I will report back on how useful I find them. It was literally £3 for these. It was for nothing, absolutely cheap as chips, and yeah, they're small enough actually. I'm quite pleased. I was worried they'd be very big, but they're small enough so I'll be able to put a little bit in here. It's not going to take up a lot of space on my painting bench, and should be quite good and quite flexible. So yeah, I'll report back on how they work, and if you watch The Average Painter, you may end up seeing me using them. But yeah, for now, pretty pleased they've arrived, so I can finally give my speed paints a try. And there we have him, the Innkeeper. Done. That's the first miniature from the Reaper miniatures that I'm painting this year, and that was a lot of fun to paint. I have filmed the whole of it for An Average Painter, so check that out as and when that goes live, which will probably be probably on the Monday after this vlog actually, to be honest, as you're watching this. So yeah, you should be able to check that out very, very soon, and I'm still watching the votes come in this week for what I'm going to paint next week. So yeah, got off to a good start, managed to finish this. It's Thursday now, so finished this last night, Wednesday. So yeah, let's hope that next week's just as efficient, and by the end of this year I should have 52 Reaper miniatures painted up, which is quite exciting. So don't forget to vote in each vlog which miniature you want me to paint in the next week. It's awesome to see people voting, and it'll be awesome to get more and more of you people who watch these videos. Just pop a vote in, you don't have to say anything else, and who knows, at the end of the year you might win a prize, and it might be that I do a monthly prize as well. So yeah, don't forget to pop your vote in. The options will always be in the description of the vlog for the week after, so you don't have to like worry. Just go to the description, pick one, copy paste it, stick it in as a comment, and that's you done. So anyway, finished. I will now wait to see who wins for next week. Well, it's been a fair few days actually that I've let this two go off. I'll be doing other things. What I've got is my Liquitex Gloss Gel Brilliant. There we are. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come along with an old brush, and I'm going to start painting in and dabbing in a little bit more texture onto this area here. The river has turned out even better than I expected, and I will put some of this gloss on it as well. And once this has dried, then we'll come along with some white paint, and we'll pick out the edges of the swirls that we want to, and make it a little bit more kind of interesting. But what we're doing here is adding life to the water. Now I'm not going to do it all over the entirety of the lake, but there are a few places where I am. So for example, I will also put some around here where it might be that you'd expect there to be some ripples, but not going to go too mad, mainly because of time. It is now Thursday, and my builders are coming on Monday to finish up for the next few months, and that is when I want this to be moved. So I need this to all dry, and this takes a while to dry, so I'm not going to go too mad. And then I'm going to need to paint it, and then finally we can lift it out of the place, out of the room, and I can gain a large chunk of this room back. A lot of people do this using airbrushes. Regular viewers will know how much I am scared of my airbrush, and I have done this with a brush before, and it does give a good enough result, but it takes a bit of time to dry. So I'm also, like I say, going to drop some in here. It looks like a rushing river, and that is exactly what I wanted. So I'm going to cover the river with kind of swells and peaks and what have you, peaks and troughs. You can use the silicone that I use, or not silicone, it's actually water-based. It's actually not silicone-based, but you can use the bathroom sealant to do peaks and stuff if you want to, but it takes a bit of time because you need to pay attention and make sure you get it when it's at the right consistency, when it's just going off, so it doesn't droop, because it is designed not to have peaks. It'll dry smooth if it can. So if you get it at the right time, however, you can kind of make it peak up and do splashes. But this is a more effective way of doing that, which is why I've done like this. So yeah, we're going to have a really nice bit of white water coming in. It's going to be a rushing stream, going into the lake and then smoothing out as it goes further and further in, like this. There we are. So I'll keep doing this, I'm not going to film it all. I'll keep doing this and I'll show you what it looks like when it's all dried, and then we'll get the paint on it. So here we have the base that I'm going to use to start this, and I'm going to build it up using lots of this style of XPS. It's very strong, very sturdy, and that's what I want to use. So as I've said, I'm going to do it with a bit of an unfinished so that I can then carve it and blend it into whatever part of the layout it's going to go on. So the first thing I need to do is basically work out roughly the size, and this is going to be, here's the miniature that the figure that represents my father, my dad. So what it's going to be is going to be a cliff on one side, or a steep slope on one side, a steep slope on the other, and then a rising hill going up. So if I do this in kind of almost in contours, I'll probably leave an area here so I can trim it in and bed it in like I've said. So if I drew around roughly like this as being the largest part of this, and it might be that I want to do that a little bit more squared off, and then get another sheet. So I'm going to keep this on there. I might trim around it a bit, but as I said, I want it to be obvious that this is a still in progress piece. And then if we look at, so I'm going to have the path, can have a path kind of running along the top of the ridge like this, and my dad will be walking along that path, and then we're going to want to have the contour lines on this side are going to want to be relatively close together, and this is just rough, just to give me an idea. Probably want to join those a little more like this, so it'll be quite nice and tall, and then maybe a bit of a flatter area and what have you. So what I'll be doing, I'll take this idea and so that's going to be the path. Let's just make sure I know that's the path by doing a scribbled line on it. Yeah, so once I've got roughly an idea of how I want to do this, I might do a little bit of a kind of ridge here, maybe some stones or rocks or whatever. Once I've got an idea of this, what I'll do is I'll roughly translate that across onto these sheets and start building it up, gluing it in place, and then I will do the smoothing with modelling compound. So I'm not going to try and carve these, I'm literally going to make this as a contour model, and then maybe a bit of carving, but mostly what I'll do is I'll do modelling compound, put some stones in it and rocks, and then paint it up. So yeah, I'm going to crack on with that. I will bring you back once I've finished doing this here, and when I've started on doing some of these, some of the cutting, and yeah, I'll show you what it looks like at each stage. But for now, let's get a little bit of a plan going. I've made some good progress on this. Changed my mind a little bit about making it wider. Just thought I'd go for a slightly more ridge-like look, and it's not going to be very steep at the front from how I've done it, but I'm pretty pleased with how it's going to look. It'll be steep enough, and what I might do is make it a bit steeper at the top. So basically it's just chunks of this that I've cut out, all different like lengths and what have you, and you can see on the bottom one I've added a little bit to one side. So what I'm going to do now is get my grabby glue and just start gluing that down. So let me just grab that. So here we are, this is the grabby glue, moment fix power. And what I'm going to do is I'll glue a few on camera, do the rest off camera, and then show you how I'm going to finish the last bit just with how I've been working. So I'm not going to look to glue it all over because I don't need to, because I will be putting on as I've said, some modelling compound, and that will act a lot to secure it in place. So just a little bit of little smear of glue like this also means that I can still carve and cut if I want to. I won't get in the way. So stick those down, and then a little bit of glue in the middle and a little bit on the bottom, and that will be sufficient. So I will glue this lasagna, one of my favourite meals, at lasagna. I will glue this these all down, and come back in a couple of minutes to do the final bits, because I figured it might be interesting to show exactly how I'm working it out and doing it. I'm not too worried if it's not perfect, because, as I say, I will be putting the modelling compound and doing a whole load of texture on it and terrain. But yeah, we're just gonna kind of get that down, I've decided to pull it this way a little bit, so that'll be the smooth bit, this will be the steep bit. Just done that while I've been filming. But it's a simple technique, this, but it works really well, as you can see, to build up very quickly, build up some elevation. And when you're working in the small scale like this, which is 1/72 scale or OO or HO, whatever you want to call it, each of these is the size of a person, so you can see you're immediately getting quite a high elevation. I'm not going to make this massive at this stage, because when I put it into the layout, it will probably slot into a ridge, and so it will have even more height when it's on the layout. This is not going to, I'm determined not to do something that's too big this time. I normally go way too big on these TCU builds, and that annoys me a bit, because then I have to store them. So yeah, so that's all glued. Did all that on camera, didn't think I was going to do that. So I will now clear this up and come back very shortly, and we'll do the last few bits of the section, and then we can let that to dry. Don't move that there. It's grabby, but it does slide if you're not careful. There we are. So as you can see, if I wanted to make that a little bit smoother, I could easily just come in like that and carve that out, and I could carve that steeper. So that's all stuff I can do once it's dried and set, and I can make adjustments to to how steep that cliff is. But yeah, I'm gonna carry on. I'll be back in a minute to do the final couple of sections. I'm wondering if this might not be a saddle, so I might do a little higher bit here and a higher bit here, and then a not so high bit here, and have my dad just climbing up out of that saddle. We shall see. I'll be back in a minute. Right, so the next step that I'm going to do, like I say, I'm going to build one more section on at full length, and then I'm going to put one more step here and one more step here, so there'll be like it'll step down in the middle and up again. So what you can see here, I've got one of the scraps. This has been cut, as you can see, on both sides. So just measure that, offer that up. Just come along with the Sharpie and indicate roughly where you want to cut it, and that's going to be roughly like that, so it's going to be right close there. And then on the other side, I'm going to do the same thing, just kind of work out roughly where that cut's going to be. And then if I just adjust the camera slightly so you can see, literally as simple as this. This is why I like this material. It cuts and carves really easily, it doesn't bubble, and it's super quick to work with. And then we can offer that back up over here. So bring the camera back, and you can see that that is going to work perfectly. And then I've got another section here which I could do exactly the same thing. So get the Sharpie, mark the end, and this is slightly different, so we're going to just shave that little bit off there, which I'll just do now. And the other thing that I need to do on this, if I turn the camera around, I've got a right messy desk today, need to get it done. So what I need to do is I need to trim down that end. This is where the end of the diorama is going to go, so I can just use my 90 degree here to cut down. like so. And if we come back over here, now, superb camera work. You can see now that I'm able to see where the end of the underneath one is, and kind of go towards that. Make it a bit wider there. And I can trim it down as I go. So if I trim around the outside one, find it's not right, I can trim it down again and again. So that's how I've been doing it. Very, very basic, very simple, but effective. So I'm going to finish cutting and putting these layers on. And then I'll bring you back when it's all dried, show you what it looks like, and when we're about to start to do the modelling compound. Well, I've got these painted up. And yeah, looking pretty good. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to base them. I'm going to make use of my normal basing material, which is Geek Gaming's base ready. And then they'll be finished. So pretty pleased to have got another 7 done here, and that's actually not the first, because the first one was my Reaper miniature, but pretty much the first miniatures of 2024, which is good. And it is the 5th, so I am above 1 a day. Let's see how long that can last for. But yeah, there we are. Well, this is all dry. It should be, because it's been like a week, if not more. So what I'm going to do now is I've got myself some more Milliput, and I'm going to smudge that in right across the bottom, really fine, really shallow, flat, like so. And this is why I did the sides first, because I wanted to make sure that I was happy with the width. And once that's done, what we'll do is we'll take this and we'll run this through it a couple of times, just to make it look like you've got ruts on the road, like that. There we are. So I'll let that dry, and when I paint that and put a little bit of texture on it, but not very much, that will now have a nice rutted effect. So we'll leave that to set, and then it won't be another 2 weeks. I'll come back to that tomorrow and have a look at how dry it is. My next box set is going to be the English Nationality starter set, and I am going to aim to have these, have a set of these painted up nicely to enter into the Blood and Plunder challenge, the Great Pirate Paint Off from Blood and Pigment. That's it, not Blood and Plunder. The game is Blood and Plunder. The blog is Blood and Pigment. So in here we've got some English Militia, a bit bendy, more freebooters, yet more freebooters. I think I've painted up about 7 sets of those. Some more English Militia, some Sea Dogs, and a Buccaneer Storming Party, which also has the English leader in it. So yeah, so I'm going to get these washed up now and primed, and then I will be painting them, and I'll do the painting on an average painter, so you'll be able to see that over there when they're finished. And like I say, hopefully I will get something that's, well, I will definitely get something that I'll enter, and I definitely won't win, but I'll probably enter all of them, to be honest, because I'm going to try and get these done next. So they're going to be good. Nice to get the English done. So yeah, let's get to it. I've left this for a couple of days, mainly because I got busy, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start to smooth the edges off, just get those contours right. That's not going to involve cutting it completely, probably about halfway for each, halfway down each of these, just to make it a little bit smoother, and then we'll come along with the modelling compound. But there may be some other techniques that I use on this as well for this cliff side, which I'm just considering at the moment now. So just going to come along with my sharp blade and just smooth off some of these transitions, just like that. You can use a hot wire cutter for this if you want to, but I thought I'd just show that you don't need to at all. You can just use a sharp knife to achieve everything that I'm doing on this. So yeah, just going to be kind of smoothing down these edges, making them a bit less abrupt, and of course making the right mess as well, which I'll then need to tidy up. And like I say, I'm not looking to completely make it smooth, because I'm going to fill in the gaps, as I said before, with modelling compound. I just want to kind of take some of these edges off a little bit. It's a little bit difficult getting in at the angle. And if you decide not to do this step, if you're building along, then you're not going to miss much. You don't need to at all. So yeah, let's just keep doing this. It's a really sharp way, fast way to blunt your blade, by the way, this. So don't be surprised if your blade is blunt when you've been doing this sort of thing. There you are, so that was the effect I was going for. As I said, I don't want to trim everything. I might take a little bit more here, actually, having turned it around a bit. A little bit more off here, but I don't want to trim everything. Just want to make it a little bit smoother, make it easier for me for my modelling compound. So I'll tidy it up, get all the little bits and pieces put away. They will have to be bin, they're small. And then we'll get to mixing some modelling compound and we'll get to smoothing it up. But I think there'll be a step in between, so we'll find out what that is when I come back. I had such a lot of fun with my Marauder Destroyers, which I've just finished, that I pulled out the next box set that I've got here, the next box I've got, which is the Fire Raptor Gunship Squadron. So yeah, I'm going to give this a go, and I think looking at it, I'm either going to do the green or the red, because I quite like the green. That's a really, really bright green, and I've got exactly the right colour for that. So yes, I might go for the green, we'll see. But yeah, so let's have a quick look, see what's inside the box, and then I will do the same as I did for the other one, for the Marauder. I will do a full build video of this, and there will also be a full paint video as well coming on An Average Painter. So yeah, let's get inside this single-use plastic. See what we've got. Right, so let's see what comes out. Whee! So we have, as usual, two bases with both with different size stems, so you can have your ship floating as high or as low as you want. We have, not that I ever use these, some transfers. I really should do. I should go back over the ones I've built already. We have some transfers, and hopefully, yes, we do. Look for it. We have a. Oh, it even got the. It's even got some rules for it. I need to check that actually. If my Marauder rules had instructions had rules, that'd be a shame if I've thrown those away. Anyway, so it looks like a nice simple build, only 2 pages. So what we'll do is we will get that built, and then yeah, we'll do that together. As I said, I'll do that all on camera. So I'll get myself set up, and when I've got time, we'll do a build together, and then I'll get it painted. So yeah, the Fire Raptor Gunship is going to be the squadron, is going to be the next one to build. So the next step before I do any modelling compound is to go into this box in which I have lots and lots of very dry bark, which makes absolutely superb cliffs. You don't need to buy those expensive Woodland Scenics cliff moulds, which only make a certain number of kind of like looks of cliff. What you can do is you can pick up some old wood bark, dry it for a while. Some of this is very old now, and then if you want to, you can bake it in the oven to really dry it and kill any bugs. And then what you end up with is fantastic looking, once it's painted, really nice cliffs. So because this is at such small scale, this is going model railway, I'm going to be breaking these up into smaller sections. If you're doing 28mm, then you can literally flatten that out, stick that onto something, and you've got a ready-made cliff as soon as you've painted it. It's magical how good this technique works. So we'll just get a few sections, and then what we'll do is we'll come along with some glue. I'll use my grabby glue for this, and we'll see what it looks like and see what we can build up, just to make it a little bit more interesting. And then what you do is you fill in around the edges with your modelling compound or whatever you're using. So yeah, just gonna keep picking at this, and I'll bring you back when I get to the next step, which is going to be sticking it in place. And so I've got enough for now, and you can see that I've offered one up, a larger piece, because it actually worked really well. I offered one up there, and what I can do is I can put another one here. Now, as I've said a couple of times, I'm not looking to particularly finish this. So having it hanging over and not coming to the bottom is fine, because eventually I will be cutting into this and I'll be blending this in to the rest of the scenery. So that will actually fit nicely and thematically. So it could be that I put those 3 in there, and maybe this nice long one can come along the bottom there, and that will make that into a really precipitous, is that the word? It's a good word if it isn't. Precipitous side to this build. So we're going to use the grabby glue, so put a bead of grabby glue on, and the grabby glue is just to hold it in place, after which we will then do our modelling compound. So don't worry too much about making it pretty, because we're going to be coming in with more material to fill this in and make it look good. As long as it holds it in place, that is what matters. And if it goes slightly over, that's fine, because we'll be building this up with a little bit of modelling compound as well anyway. So I'm going to do this side, and I'm also going to do some on the other side, but less, because the other side is going to be slightly shallower. And this is headcanon, not at all correct, but you can almost think of it as being like striding edge or sharp edge on Helvellyn and Blencathra in the Lake District, because I've climbed both those with my dad. I have strong memories of them, and they are awesome. Right, that's standing out a little bit too far. I would like to bend that round, so what I might do is grab myself a clamp, or 2 actually, because I'm probably going to need to clamp both ends, but let's clamp this end first, and then another clamp at this end, and then when that's set, hopefully the grabby glue will be enough to hold it. If it's not, then it's not. We'll find out together. So let's see whether this is successful. There we are. So hopefully when that's set, that grabby glue will hold it enough so that bend can be kept in, because I really do want that bend. And then what we're going to do is just take that loose bit off. I'm then going to glue this across here, and that's going to be enough, I think. And then we'll look at the other side. So yeah, top tip, tree bark. It is, I swear, absolutely hands down the best material for making these kind of cliffs at any scale, and that was the point I wanted to make. So I'm going to stick that one in under there again. I'm going to need to clamp that as well, so we'll get 2 more clamps, and I'll clamp that once I've done this side. So I'm going to need to clamp this side again, clamp the back side. I want that to be bend also, so we'll stick that in there. And I'm not sure if I'm going to use these. Maybe I'll put one. Not sure about that. Maybe in under there. Yeah, in under there. That'll do. And that will do for all of the cliff. So I'll put the final bit of bits back in the box, and then we'll come in here and we're going to clamp this other side, because I want it to bend round. Well, that was a little bit more involved than I expected. However, that looks like that's going to work. So I'm going to let that to set. I'm not going to touch it now. I'll bring you back probably tomorrow now. I'll leave that overnight to go off, and then we'll do the modelling compound on it, and maybe add some more bigger rocks and what have you to it as well, some like to give it a little bit more texture. But for now, that is where I wanted to get to. So there we are. Tree bark, it's your friend. So there you are, a not very productive week turns out to be about a 40-minute long video. But it really wasn't. I really have spent a lot of time doing other things. I've spent quite a lot of time this week painting, which has been really good fun. I've also just been busy with various other bits and pieces around the house. So I'll finish up by reminding you once again, if you are going to comment, don't forget to grab one of the Reaper miniatures, one of the options for this week. It will be flashed on screen again now briefly, or in the description. Just add it to your comment, don't forget to do that, and I will be sure to include your name in the draw for the prize whenever that is drawn, however often that is drawn through the year, I'm not sure. I'm really leaning towards doing it on a monthly basis and then one big draw at the end of the year, because I think that'll be fun and it will reward people who have been joined in early, and also will reward people as they join in through the year, because hopefully this will grow and I'll get more votes as we go through the year. But anyway, that's enough of that rambling. I'm pretty tired. I did not sleep well last night, so sorry if I'm rambling a bit. I'm barely awake, but let's get this wrapped up. I'll wrap it up as I always wrap my vlogs up. Still ongoing, the horrific wars in Ukraine and Israel. If any one of you is impacted by either of those horrendous situations, my thoughts do go out to you and anyone you know who might be in that situation. And as always to everyone, please do stay healthy, stay safe and stay well.